He'll drive, cut off, kicks it in the corner. Mallette, catch and shoot, three bottom. And Houston Mallette, his first points in an Alabama uniform.
Hey, Sussy Stuff. It is Georgia. I'm here with a new Sideline story. I'm super excited for this one. We have Houston Mallette from the Alabama men's basketball team. Thank you so much for joining us today. First, I want to ask, what made you choose to go to Alabama? Because you're from California.
I am from California. So I'm originally from the Bay Area. I lived there for 15, 16 years of my life. Grew up in a city called Alameda, California, which is basically right next to Oakland, California. So I grew up playing basketball there. My dad had worked at Cal, UC Berkeley growing up. So I was like the biggest Cal Berkeley fan in the world. I got to like rebound for the team and whatnot while I was there. So anyways, I think my sophomore year of high school, my dad gets associate athletic director or athletic directing job at UC Riverside in Southern California. So it was kind of weird at first because he got it in like the middle of the year of my freshman year. So I was living with like my godparents for basically half the year of my freshman year in high school. And so I ended up moving down with my dad. It was the best decision I made. I ended up going to like a really good high school called Pacifica Christian, where I was able to get recruited by a lot of different Division I schools. I originally committed to Penn State my junior year of high school. That fell through partly because of COVID. So about 2 weeks before I was going to sign to go to Penn State my senior year, my coach had he had basically resigned due to some like off the court stuff with him and a player. I don't know how like true everything was, but especially with like the whole magnitude of COVID, and there were so many things that had been amplified. So he ends up resigning, and this is like 2 weeks before signing period. And everybody, so the NCAA ruled that everybody was going to get an extra year to play. Like this year basically wouldn't count. So I remember like calling a lot of schools, and a lot of schools were like, hey, like we don't know what's going to happen with our rosters and whatnot. So I ended up calling Coach Romar at Pepperdine University, and he answers, and he's like in the middle of practice. I'm like, hey, Coach, like, did you see the news? And he's like, no, I didn't. Well, I had a relationship with Coach Romar from like the beginning of my sophomore year up until now. He was someone I was really close with. And I ended up talking to him on the phone. He's like, no, he says, here, let me call you after this practice. So I ended up telling him, obviously, I'm like, Coach, like if you guys have a spot, like I'd be really fortunate and like I would really appreciate it. And so he ends up saying, yes, they do have a scholarship open. So about a week or so later, I commit on my signing day to go to Pepperdine University. There, I spent 3 years there, my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. We struggled with wins, but we had a ton of talent on our team. And then my junior year, he ends up being let go. They're not going to extend him his contract, which sucks. So as soon as that happened, the next day, I entered the transfer portal. And Coach Preston Murphy, who's one of our assistant coaches, he does like pretty much all of our recruiting. He's like the best recruiter in the country. He calls me and he's like, hey, would you be interested in coming to Alabama? Like he's one of the first people that called me. And at the time I was like, all I knew Alabama for was obviously like Brandon Miller and like Herb Jones, but I knew they didn't take any mid-range shots. And a lot of the shots I shot at Pepperdine were mid-range shots. I shot a lot of threes, but I also shot a lot of mid-range. And so I remember they didn't shoot a lot of mid-range. So at first I was like, man, this is crazy that the University of Alabama called. But I don't know how well like my game would fit there. Well, anyways, a couple of days later, I have a Zoom meeting with Coach Oates, Coach Preston, like the rest of the coaching staff. And they go through like all my shot type, my shot geography, which is like, we do analytics crazy here. I can kind of get into that later. But they went into all of it and they're like, hey, like this is where you stood out in analytics. This is why we want to recruit you. We feel like you fit the system well. Once I heard that, I was like, okay, this place sounds awesome. So I ended up going on a visit like a day later, before they had went to March Madness. They had just lost to Florida in the SEC tournament. And I committed on my visit. I was like, this is the place I want to be. So it's been awesome.
I love that. Yeah. It's definitely, I like to see, because I'm born and raised Alabama fan.
Oh,
So
really? Oh, that's awesome.
yes, my family's from Tuscaloosa.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's really fun to hear other people's perspectives of like what attracts people to
Mhm.
Alabama. Um, and you had mentioned that this was like your favorite season. Why was that? I mean, it was an amazing season.
Yeah, it was an amazing season. I feel like this year I just learned so much. This is the most I've ever learned about basketball. Kind of going into that, when I got here, I had suffered a lot of knee issues at Pepperdine. So I had basically like this thing called chronic tendinosis in my quad tendons, which like make it more simple to put it in like a picture, it's like a frayed rope, like a rope that's all frayed. That's kind of what my knees looked like when I first got here. So I got here, I didn't practice like the first 4 or 5 months. Still liked it. I thought it was a cool place. Like it was a lot different than, especially coming from California. Like it was a whole lot different. But everybody was super cool. And then so once we get back from like that little break in the summer, I was able to practice like a month or so after that. Still wasn't feeling all the way right. So I decided to redshirt to start the year. Latrell Wrightsell ends up getting hurt during the Oregon game. And so the coaches come to me and they're like, hey, um, like, how are your knees feeling? We think you can help us like win some games. Like, how do you feel about coming out of your redshirt? And I was like, man, like I want to play basketball. I love playing basketball. Um, I'm totally for it. So the first game I played in was at North Carolina, which is like a surreal experience. Like your first college game at a new program's at the University of North Carolina. So I played for about like 7 or so games, and um, I ended up pretty much kind of getting hurt again, just not feeling all the way right. So I ended up medically redshirting, and we did a lot of good things. I mean, this was the best conference in the history of sports, and I feel like we played pretty well in conference, especially with all the injuries that we had on our team. And then, like, I had never been to the NCAA tournament. Getting that experience to go to the NCAA tournament was incredible. But I would say it was my favorite year because just like when you're injured, and like this is the first off season I have where I'm able to like actually work out. I'm not hurt in like the past 2 years. Like Alabama's just it's just like a different place. The people here are like awesome. Everybody's nice. That was like the biggest change coming to a school like this. Coming from like LA in the Bay Area, like you walk down the street, people are on their phone. People aren't trying to say hi to you. Here, like people are like, "How are you doing?" Like I was in the post office the other day. They're like, "Hey man, roll tide." Like I'm excited next year, and that it's just like that Southern charm. When it comes to basketball, like I really love how we play. I feel like we play like a very unselfish brand of basketball. And people think like on the outside, like no middies, no middies, no mid range. But it's actually we're just trying to play the most efficient basketball ever. Like when you look at the analytics of how we play, it makes sense. Obviously, Coach Oates was a math teacher, so he gives us math lessons all the time. I like numbers, I like math, so I think it's really cool. But I think I haven't gotten this much better, like in terms of my mind, my body, and my basketball play ever. Like this is the most growth I've made in each of those categories. And I just want to say like a huge thank you to Coach Ryan Pannone, who's now at Arkansas State. He just got the head coaching job there. He like changed my whole basketball perspective. We each have like a player development coach that we have here, which is one of the assistant coaches that we work with. And like working with him, like, I mean, he changed my whole thought process. And I mean, this place is special. Like obviously your parents are from here, like so you know about it, but it's like when I first heard Tuscaloosa, I'm like, man, there's probably nothing there. All you can think about is university. But the
Yeah.
people here are amazing. The culture here is all about winning and all about getting and helping you as a student athlete develop. So, I mean, I absolutely love this year, even though I didn't have the quote unquote plan that I thought I was going to have. It still was my favorite year of basketball.
Yeah, it was great. I actually was at that North Carolina game.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, I
that's
was.
crazy.
Yeah, that was the first game I went to this season. So I saw y'all play at North Carolina, and I also saw y'all play at South Carolina because I was living over
Oh,
there.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was definitely awesome, and watching you guys play, and especially watching y'all versus the teams y'all are playing, and even on TV, it just seems like y'all are really united and like a family dynamic, and I think that's obviously made a huge difference in the year. So, I feel like a lot of times you watch teams and when they lose, they get so individualized of trying to make the plays by
Yeah.
themselves, and y'all are focused on, "Okay, we can do this as a team,"
Mhm.
which I think is great, and I saw, you did play other sports as a child. I feel like
Mhm.
most athletes do.
Yep.
What ultimately made you choose basketball? 'Cause I saw you where you said that your family was a big football
Yep.
family.
Yeah. So all my uncles, I had an uncle who rode, if that's the correct word, but he was a rower at Harvard. And then my dad's brother, my uncle Chris, he played football at Princeton. And then my dad played football at James Madison.
Okay.
So they all played football and baseball. Nobody in my family played basketball growing up. Like literally nobody. Like my dad might have played in like a rec league, but nobody played like high school basketball or like travel basketball at all. Um, so growing up, like I used to run up and down the halls with like a Reggie Bush jersey, being like, I want to be like Reggie Bush. Like I wanted to play football so bad. I thought that was going to be the sport because my whole family did it. So I played football and baseball. Those were like the first two sports I started playing. I played football starting at like 6 or 7 years old, and then baseball even earlier. Like my dad and I were hitting off the tee because my dad ran track, played baseball, played football up until college. He ended up running track and playing football at JMU. And so, anyways, one day we go to the like a couple parents from the community I live in are like, hey, like there's a tryout for like this AAU team called the Alameda Vipers, which was like the local AAU team. Like you should bring Houston. And this was in third grade. So I started playing basketball, no, fourth grade. I started playing basketball in fourth grade. And so he brought me there and I don't even remember it, but he had gone somewhere to like work. And I guess how he explains it, he said someone called me like, you have to see this. And so I guess I had a really good tryout um, or whatever. And since then, I just kept playing baseball, basketball, football up until I got to high school. Um, it was hard. I love it, especially like not playing it anymore. You miss playing it. Like I wish I could play football still. I wish I could play baseball. Football was just tough. I like contact. I like the aggressiveness, but I don't like getting hit without being able to see. And I played receiver, and I was always like taller and skinny. So when I would play and I would catch a pass, like they would go straight for my legs, and I didn't like that part. I like being able to hit somebody,
Yeah.
but not being able to like get hit. I wanted to be able to brace for contact, basically.
Yeah, and hey, that's understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, I completely understand. Like,
Uh,
I wouldn't wanna get hit not knowing, like,
yeah, exactly. Like you run through the middle of the field, and because there's a lot of Samoan kids where I'm from. So these kids are big, like big, big, big kids. Like I remember we used to do weigh-ins and like they would have these kids in like the 24-hour fitness saunas trying to sweat it out so they could make weigh-ins to play. So the kids were big and I wasn't super big. So I'm coming down the middle of the field and get popped, and like I hated that. I ended up getting like 3 concussions. So my parents were like, "Yeah, we don't think you should continue playing just for like your long-term health." And I
definitely.
was going to be really tall. So I was like, "All right, cool."
Yeah.
But I do miss playing baseball. I loved baseball. Baseball was just so slow. And that was like, I like being able to run, do cardio, get up and down. Baseball was just too like slow. But I mean, I've been to like 5 Alabama baseball games. I love baseball. I'll still go and watch, but it was too slow and there wasn't like enough contact. So
I
basketball, you kind of have a mix of both worlds. Like basketball is a physical sport. I wouldn't call it a collision sport like football, but it's definitely like a contact sport. It's physical, so you can do those types of things. And then there's really like nothing like going in the gym and just shooting by yourself. And like we weren't like poor, but we were like middle class, like low middle class. So it's easier just to go to the park and shoot a basketball versus like go to like a batting cage or football or those types of things. It was just easier to just go play basketball. And I just remember I would just play basketball for hours. Like I had a mini hoop at my mom's house and I just loved it. I loved watching basketball. Um, and so that's kind of why I chose it. And it was like, I was pretty tall and I'm like, I might have a shot at this, but I think what really convinced me, man, this is when I want to play basketball. My first ever college basketball game, I went to see Cal versus Arizona when Arizona was like number one in the country with like Aaron Gordon, Caleb Tarczewski, Gabe York, TJ McConnell. Like they were absolute Nick Johnson. They were loaded.
Yeah.
And so this was like my dad's first day working at Cal. And I just saw Justin Cobbs hit like a step back jumper for game. And I saw how crazy the crowd went. And I was like, man, I got to, like, this is the sport I want to play. And so since then, this has been basketball since high school.
Hey, I mean, you got to eventually pick one,
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, you got to pick one, but hey, I think you made the right choice.
I
And
appreciate it.
well, you did the right thing. I mean, you've already earned your undergraduate and you're pursuing your double masters.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously education is important to you and as a student athlete, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I would say at Alabama, it's a lot easier to balance just with all the resources. At Pepperdine, it was really hard. So I was on track basically to graduate from Pepperdine last summer
Okay.
or like around last fall. So in about 3.5 years. So Pepperdine, we didn't have like the tutors or the academic people as available as like here at Alabama. At Alabama, like one of the biggest things when I was transferring, because transferring as a junior is tough because you have to have a certain amount of credit hours at like the university. So most of my schools that recruited me, like Clemson, Wake Forest, I remember those two specifically, they could only take around like 64 to 70 of my credits. And at this point, I have like 100 credits done. So that's 2 semesters worth of classes.
Yeah.
But at Alabama, they end up taking like 90 of my credits. So I was able to graduate still a semester early, which I was happy about. I'd say it's tough, like balancing it, especially during the season, because it's hard. Like school definitely comes first. You have to be a student, but basketball is your world. Like you're wrapped up in trying to win. I'd say I just try and knock out, like I'll just devote like a couple hours, maybe like 2-3 hours to just knock out as many assignments as I possibly can to get ahead, especially first semester, because second semester, you're on the road a lot more for SEC play. And I mean, we were traveling. I mean, we were gone for almost like 10 days at one point, just traveling. So yeah, that's my thing about having to manage it. Second semester was a little easier for me because I'm in grad school, so all my classes are online. So I have a gauge of like I can get all this stuff done. So I'm pretty much, honestly, I'm done with school right now, and we don't get out for another couple weeks. But
Hey, feel free to live.
yeah, exactly.
And you do a lot off the court too. You were named the SEC Community Service Team.
Mhm.
What drives like your commitment for giving back to communities and helping?
Mhm. Man, that's a great question. I'd say I don't live my life for me. Like it's not about me. God has blessed me with so many different things. He's put me in an incredible position to, do what I love every day. We were just at a at an event yesterday. Actually, it was this guy named John, uh, who is part of this thing called Best Buddies, which is an organization here at Alabama where like students have an organization. They pair up with students with disabilities, which I think is awesome. And so this guy, John, who's 28, just got diagnosed with cancer. So they threw like him a birthday party. And when we went there, like we saw, it was like a huge celebration at this place called The Standard. And you realize like this is life's not about you. You know what I mean? Like life's about helping others, loving others. Like you see somebody get so excited about like you coming and celebrating them, and it kind of just it makes you humble, makes you be like, man, like God is really great. And so I'm a Christian. I believe God put me on this earth to serve others, and that's kind of my way of life. Like I don't. It's not really about me. It's about helping other people. It's about giving back to people. I'm only a small, equation or a small fraction of what actually matters. And if I can love somebody and like maybe say something to somebody or do something for somebody, and that helps them in their life, I feel like that's what I'm meant to do. Steve Kerr said something about like you can tell a lot by somebody by how they play basketball. The whole reason I love basketball is I love my teammates, I love my coaches, I love the process of like getting better and like seeing people succeed. And I don't know, those type of things drive me. Like I think it's just very heartening because like you realize how fortunate and blessed you are, and like that God didn't give this for me to be selfish or for me to gloat or for me to like focus all on me. Like he gave me a platform. And I believe like just in church yesterday, we're talking about how in Genesis and in Revelation, God talks about how he gave us as people the power to rule and to reign, and like how we're all leaders. God calls us all to be leaders and spread his truth. And like through God, I'm able to lead. And that's kind of my whole thought process on that.
Yeah, I love that. I actually, the church, my church was just talking about how he blesses us, but he doesn't want the blessings to end there. He
Yeah,
blesses us so we can bless others.
absolutely.
Um, we love, you're so open about your walk with God, which I think is really important for, little kids who, are also trying to play basketball, having someone to look up to and seeing what drives them. How has your relationship with God grown with basketball?
That's a good one. I remember when I was younger, like, and this is honestly how I feel. I believe God gave me a gift that's different than, well, I believe God gave me a gift that helps me so much in basketball. I'm not the most athletic. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the strongest. Um, and for a long time when I was in high school, a lot of schools wouldn't recruit me because I didn't jump. Like I didn't match the eye test. But I really feel like God has blessed me in a way where I love the process. And like that's what your relationship with Jesus is. That's what you do. How you do anything is how you do everything. It's all a process. It's all a flow. And in that, God has blessed me with the ability to like be a shepherd. And like being a shepherd's all that matters. So for basketball, my thought process isn't I need to score this many points or like I need this stat line. Now, of course, I want to be efficient in the minutes I play, but how my mind is wired now, especially coming here, like kind of reiterated the fact, okay, like my thought process is on the right track because I want to do to make the guy next to me better. Like I want to make the team better. So if that's like going and ghosting a screen or like crashing the offensive rebound or making like a one more pass, diving on a loose ball, taking charges, I pride myself in all those little things. That's really all I care about. And so I think that's the biggest blessing that I think God has given me in terms of basketball. Obviously, like being at Alabama, being able to be a Division I athlete, all that is incredible. But if God hadn't given me the blessing of like really focusing and loving like the details, I wouldn't be in the position I am today because that's kind of my thing. Like I want to get any type of step I can get, whether that be watching a ton of film. Like I love watching basketball. And growing up, I just looked at a lot of guys who were similar to me, like not super fast, not super quick, but like just grinded their way, did like all the small things to make it. And that's how I believe I'm going to make it. Like, I don't really want to be like LeBron James or Kobe. I want to be great in who I am. Like, be great as like a role player and having like an important role that helps the team win, where it's like, okay, like I have to play this guy. This guy helps us so much in ways that might not even show up on a box score. And that's my process of it. Honestly, I think God has really blessed me with that, because my thought, like how I think about things, like one thing I'll do is when I'm tired, like I'll sub myself out the game. And like my parents were like, why would you do that? And I'm like, well, if I'm not able to exert 100% of my effort, there's no point. Like, our team's so good, there's no point of me being in the game. Like, we have this guy who's elite at what he does. And so I don't know, like I'm weird, uh, but I love it. God made me unique. He makes us all unique, and I appreciate and love how God created me to be.
I love that. And then we did hit a little bit on Nate Oates being a mathematician.
Mhm.
Um, I don't relate to that at all. But he's heavily based on analytics. He prioritizes shots that are most likely to score. It's made for such an entertaining team. I mean, I've been going to Alabama basketball games since I was young, but it's never been this entertaining. Um, so, I mean, how has Coach Oates like supported your development? I know you talked a little bit about when he recruited you, but
Mhm.
how has he affected that?
Yeah, I mean, I love Coach Oates. Coach Oates is amazing. Um, I mean, I think he's the best coach in the country. I think he's very innovative. He has like a balance of like an old school guy with like new school, I guess, new school basketball tactics. Nate Oates is a genius. He's really, really smart. I don't think, like, that's the one thing I wish people really knew, like how like he's smart. Like, he'll be like he'll just throw out a number there, or like we talk in terms of like points per possession or points per chance, and like everything is all analytics based, and it's all prided on playing super hard, like giving your max effort, continuing to grow, having selfless love, and then like the numbers will speak for himself. Like, if you focus on the right things, like he always says this, if you focus on the right things, like everything else will be affected positively. So Oates has definitely supported my development. I mean, he allowed me to come out of a red shirt. He helped me in terms of my rehab. Like, when I got here, I was damaged goods almost. Like, I wasn't playing, I was on scholarship, but I'm not even practicing. Like, they could have totally like thrown me to the side. But he helped me get better and better and better and better. And like, he's a very intense guy, so he's going to get on you. Like, but he's going to be honest. And I think he loves his players. Like, I really believe he loves his players. But he's going to be honest with you. And I think, like, especially young men now like need someone of like that type of figure to like hold them accountable and be honest with them. And Coach Oates does that. And like, the dude's a genius.
He definitely is. I
Like a
like
genius.
watching him. I feel like I can like see the gears turning in his head. I was very lucky to be like really close to the court
Mhm.
during the South Carolina game, and I kept looking over there. Like,
Yeah,
he's
he's, I
working
mean,
really hard right now.
yeah, I mean, he's a genius. Like, when you take a shot, or like when we go into halftime, he has a good idea of like what our expected value is, or like what our points per possession is, and like what our turnover percentage is, and our offensive rebounding rate. Like, when like Latrell Wrightsell, this is an interesting stat. Latrell Wrightsell shoots an uncontested catch and shoot three better than Steph Curry did in college. Like, he has a higher points per possession. He shoots it at a higher clip. So, for instance, if Trelly doesn't take an open three, that's when Coach Oates gets pissed. He'll take you out the game. And this is like the most different thing I've ever thought about, because like if you don't shoot and you're open, you're coming out the game. Because he's like, that's selfish. Why are you not shooting? Like this is worth like 1.4 points per possession when you shoot an uncontested catch and shoot open three. 1.5 points. Like you have to shoot that every single time. And I think that's cool. Like he
Yeah.
gives us a lot of freedom. Like a lot of coaches will be like, like if you're not making shots, even if you're 0 for 8, he's still like the shot is worth that many points. You have to shoot every time. And I think he breeds a lot of confidence in his players.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see how that would impact, because if you're not making shots, there's a lot of coaches there and be like, just sit out, stop shooting, give it to someone else. And I do like that, you all of y'all just keep trying,
Exactly.
and yeah, I appreciate that as a fan, because I'm like, it shows that no matter what, like, you're confident in yourselves.
Yeah.
um
Like when I guess Mark, I didn't even know this, but I guess Mark was shooting like 15 or 14% from three the past 5 games before the NCAA tournament up until the BYU game.
yeah.
And I can't remember what Coach Oates used, but Coach Oates kept saying like, I want to say revision of the mean, but I don't think it's that. But basically, this is an outlier. Like it's an outlier. Mark's not a 14% shooter. Mark's a 40% shooter. So you start to think, right? Like he's like, I hope BYU goes under Mark's ball screens.
Yeah.
Mark hits 10 threes.
Yeah, I was like, it was a strategy. He was
Yeah.
faking it all out.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's numbers. It's like a law of averages. So
Yeah, definitely. And what has been, other than, playing in Coleman Coliseum, what has been your favorite arena to play in this year?
oh, definitely my favorite moment of the year outside of BYU was playing in beating Auburn at the buzzer. That
Yeah.
was that was great. I feel like that's like the most hostile environment we play in, obviously, because we don't like each other. And Mark hitting the game winner, you just hear like that loud crowd just go mute, and they were sick. Purdue was awesome. I would say Purdue was like crazy environment. You couldn't hear. That was kind of my welcome to Bama moment in terms of basketball, because we're sitting on the outside and it's like the pregame, and Coach Oates is drawing on the whiteboard, like what he does before every single game before tip off. So I'm just looking around and I'm like, man, it's loud. And I look back down at the clipboard and like Coach Oates' mouth is just moving, but I don't hear anything. And then I look at CY, because at this point CY was still hurt. I'm like, CY, do you hear him? And CY's like, what? And like we can't even hear each other talk next to each other. And it was loud. And then, oh man, I thought we had that game, but what's the kid's name? They had a freshman who hit like back to back to back threes. And when he hit those threes back to back to back, they called timeout. The place is going crazy, and they started playing Baby Keem. And like the fans start saying, beat him up, beat him up. And like it was the loudest. That was the loudest thing I've ever heard. So
Yeah. I played sports as a kid, and then, you stop once, you get older, when you're not that good. And so I always think, I'm like, I would cry. I know I'm
oh,
really emotional, but I would so cry.
no, there's some hostile place. I think the meanest place I heard, other than Auburn, was Mizzou. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, the Mizzou fans were hostile. And then A&M's crazy too, because A&M's like a cult. Like they have all these different chants.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anywhere in the SEC, it
No,
just
literally
we
anywhere.
hate each other so much that it doesn't matter if we actually don't have a rivalry, we do right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then Arkansas, they'll go like, ooh, they'll call the pigs, and all the fans start doing it. And it's like the creepiest thing ever.
Yes, it is. I agree. We cover gymnastics as well, and
Mhm.
they'll do that a lot in their routines.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
It's cool when you're not there.
Yeah.
You're not playing
Yeah.
against them. Do you have a pregame ritual to help you get ready for games?
Yeah, I would say I kind of like, I'm very routine based. I take a lot of notes. Like I take notes like all throughout my day. Pre-game ritual, I would say the most consistent one I've had is I'll wash my hair before the game, like every game,
Okay.
just so like my hair is flopping, so I know I'm running pretty fast when my hair flows back.
I actually was talking y'all have had everyone on the team's had some great hair this season. Um, I always laugh with Stevenson pulling his up
Oh
and
yeah, like
yeah, yeah, I'm always like, "He's ready to go."
no, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my shooting routine's been pretty consistent. I have like this weird thing. It's called the like the flamingo. I've been doing it since high school. My coach put me on it, and it's basically I just balance on one leg and put an arm behind my back. It's just like it might be placebo effect, but I think it works. And then I listen to a lot of jazz music.
Okay.
That's other than washing my hair.
Now, what's your favorite jazz musician?
I would say John Coltrane's up there, but like the first jazz I was ever introduced to was Miles Davis.
Ok
That's pretty much who I'll listen to before a game.
I've got some Miles Davis in my
All right.
records right over
Awesome.
here,
Yep.
yeah.
So I listen to Miles Davis um, anytime I like shoot before the game. Like I'll have like AirPods in, uh, or like in a workout, I'll sometimes listen to Miles Davis. Uh, my high school coach again, Jeff Barakoff, he really changed my life. He would say like whenever he was in a shooting slump, like he would just listen to jazz because like offense is kind of like jazz. Like you have all these different instruments. It's supposed to be smooth and flowing. So I don't know. It's weird, but
If
it's
it works, it works, and everyone likes to listen to different stuff. I like hearing everyone's ritual of it's
Mhm.
all different. What
Exactly. Because then when I'm in the weight room, it's like I want to listen to some like David Goggins or something. But then when I'm shooting, I'd rather listen to like jazz, something where I can be calm.
Yeah, I like that, get out of your head.
Yep.
What do you want Alabama fans to know about what's coming next season?
Yeah, I think next year is going to be awesome. I think we have right now 4 guys returning, um, who all really love it here. Obviously, it'll be Trelly's 3rd year here, which he is. I mean, he's unbelievable. Aiden Holloway, unbelievable. Aiden Sherrill, awesome. He's going to have a really big year next year.
I am so excited to watch him
Mhm.
play more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have a really good team. The recruits we brought in, Jaleel, Noah, and Taylor so far, they seem like some really, really cool guys. And then with the freshmen, London, and London and Amari, they seem like they're really cool. I think you're going to see the ball being moved crazy this year.
Okay.
Um, like our offense is really cool. We play like it's like a controlled experiment almost because obviously we run sets, but like when we play offense, it's like a flow. So you have kind of the freedom to kind of do whatever almost with control and with purpose. That's what I would say that. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to see a lot of threes being put up, like
I'm
a lot of
excited.
threes.
Yeah, definitely now that I'm in Atlanta, I definitely plan on trying to come to more home
Yeah.
games since I'm so much closer. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we're really excited.
Yeah. If you guys ever need tickets, just let me know and I got
Thanks.
you guys. Yep.
Thank you.
But
Um,
yeah, I mean, Aiden Holloway took like 20 plus threes in the game this year. Trelly's taken like 16, 17, 18 threes in a game. So you might see a game where we shoot like 60, 70 threes.
I'm super excited. I think, I started really I mean, I've always watched it, but then like the season with Brandon Miller, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, like let's like he was the first. I was like,
Right.
okay, okay, we got this. And then it just keeps getting better and better. And then like there's just so many players that I'm like, I just like we're rooting for you guys.
Appreciate it.
But thank you so much for joining us. Let people know where they can follow you and keep up with you.
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is Houston Mallette. So just my first and last name. And then I've been posting on TikTok a lot. That's one thing I've really been trying to do this off season. I'll be posting, like I'm trying to post like multiple times a day. I've been making like a lot of content. So if you guys want any behind the scenes accent or content, my TikTok is Huey Steph, HUEYSTEFF.
Yes, thank you so much. We'll add it to the bottom so that everyone can follow. Thank you. It was amazing. And thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.